in good English. That is what happens during IELTS writing. So you are going to be doing two things. Number one, you are going to write an essay. Okay. And then number two, you are going to write a letter. If you are doing IELTS general, you are going to write a letter. You are going to write a letter and you are going to write an essay. If you are doing IELTS academic, you are going to write a report and you write an essay. Okay. So whether you are doing academic or you are doing general, you are going to do essay. So this class is very, very important for you. I want you to follow closely. Now, when it comes to essay writing, there are different types of essays. Okay? There are different types of essays. We can say there are 5 different types of essays, or we can say there are 7 types of essays, however you want to put it. But here, what I have here, I've represented 5 of them. So number 1 is what we call a cause and effect essay. Or we also have what we call cause and solution essay. That's what I'm going to be treating in this class. Okay? Cause and effect essay, and then cause and solution essay. Then we have what we call advantage, disadvantage essay. Okay? Then, so a cause and effect, let me say a little bit about those essays. Cause and effect essay is an essay that will require you to write about the causes of something and the effect of that thing. Cause and solution essay will require you to write about the causes of something and the solutions to that thing. Maybe most likely a problem or a negative trend. Write about the causes of that trend and the solutions to that trend, or how that trend can be reversed. Okay? Then, advantage, disadvantage essay is an essay that will require you to write about the advantages of something. Okay? And the disadvantages of that thing. That's what we call advantage, disadvantage essay. You are writing about the advantages of something and the disadvantages of that thing. Then we have what you call opinion essay. An opinion essay is an essay that requires you to write about your opinion. In other words, do you agree with something? Do you agree to something? Do you agree that something should be done? That's what we call opinion essay. You are going to say something like this. Do you agree or disagree? Or you something like this. To what extent do you agree? Anytime you see that in your essay question, you are dealing with an opinion essay. Then we have what you call special advantage essay, or what we call outweigh essay. Is a type of opinion essay. Outweigh, let me type it out. Sometimes I call it outweigh essay, or sometimes I call it special advantage essay. So outweigh essay, they're going to say, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? This is what I call outweigh essay. Okay, same thing. Is also special advantages. It's still the same question. So they want you to focus on one aspect. Okay, I call this kind of essay outweigh essay. It's a kind of opinion essay. Okay, then we have what you call discussion essay. A discussion essay will require you to discuss 2 viewpoints. Okay, and then present your own view. A discussion essay will require you to do what? Discuss 2 viewpoints and then present your own view. That's what we call discussion essay. Then the last one is called double question essay. A double question essay will give you 2 questions and then you answer the 2 questions. The 2 questions could be any kind of question. It could be any of these other questions that we have here or any other type of question. We call it double question essay. So my focus in this lesson is what? Cause and effect essay and cause and solution essay. I'm going to show you how to write your cause and effect essay and cause and solution essay, because to me, this is like the easiest type of essay. Look at it. You see these first 2. The first 2 on this list, cause and effect, cause and solution, and then advantage, disadvantage essay. These 2 essay types, or let's say 3 essay types, they are the easiest. They are the easiest to handle. If you can master these essay types, writing the remaining types of essays will not be difficult. The idea is just to apply the concepts used there and use them to write these ones. So my focus in this lesson is how to write cause and effect essay and how to write cause and solution essay. So I'm going to show you the steps, like what you can see on the screen now. These are the steps, the paragraphs. Okay. And then we're going to look at some examples. Okay. We're going to look at some examples of cause and effect essays and cause and solution essays so that you understand it very well. Now, look at this thing here. An essay is basically made up of what? An essay is made up of paragraphs. An essay is made up of what? Paragraphs. An essay should have 4 paragraphs. A good IELTS essay should have 4 paragraphs or 5 paragraphs. What I recommend is 4 paragraphs. Why? Because 4 paragraphs will help you to be more cohesive. It will help you to be more concise, and it will minimize waste of time. That's the benefit of 4 paragraph essay. You are not going to be wasting time unnecessarily. You're going to be more concise with your sentences. You're going to be more cohesive with your what? With your sentences. So, and your essay should be made up of what? 4 paragraphs. And then each paragraph should be made up of what? Sentences. Paragraph 1, please take notes. This spelling is not correct. P-A-R-A. There should be A here. Notice that the other spellings are correct. So this is a typographical error. Sorry about that. So paragraph 1 should have what? 2 or 3 sentences. You're going to see when I show you examples. Paragraph 2 and 3. Paragraph 2 and paragraph 3 should have 4 sentences or 5 sentences. Okay? And then paragraph 4 should have what? 2 or 3 sentences. Okay? So your paragraph should be made up of what? Sentences, and those sentences must be logically connected to each other. Same thing with cause and solution essay. Paragraph 1 should have what? 2 or 3 sentences. Paragraph 2 and paragraph 3 should have what? 4 sentences or 5 sentences. Some people can put 6 sentences depending on the number of things you want to write about. And then paragraph 4, your conclusion. Now, if you're writing a cause and effect essay, how do we structure our points? In paragraph 1, you introduce your essay. Okay, in writing the introduction, you paraphrase the question prompt and you present your thesis. You write a thesis sentence. I'm going to talk about that later and we'll look at examples. Then in paragraph 2, you write about the causes of that trend or the causes of that problem. Then in paragraph 3, you write about the effects. What are the effects of that trend? What are the effects of that problem? What are the effects of that circumstance? And then in paragraph 4, you conclude your essay. You summarize and you conclude. Then cause and solution essay, the same pattern. In paragraph 1, you introduce your essay, paraphrase the question prompt, and write your thesis statement. And then in paragraph 2, what do? Write about the causes. Paragraph 3, write about the solutions. And then paragraph 4, you conclude. This is how to structure your cause and effect essay and your cause and solution essay. I hope you're getting my point. Okay? I hope you're following me. So we need to construct our essay and make it as concise as possible. Now, this PDF file here, I'm going to share the link for you to download this PDF file. It contains a compilation of 64 essays. I think actually about 65 or 66 essays in this book. But then, let's just say we have 64, minimum of 64. Inside this book, we have lots of different essay types. We have cause and effect essays. We have about 5 of them. We have cause and solution essays. We have 7 of them. Then we have one effect and solution essay. That's a very uncommon type of essay. Then we have advantage, disadvantage essay. That's 7. Okay. Then we have opinion essays. Opinion essays are very many. We have about 16 opinion essays. 16. Then we have outweigh essays. I talked about outweigh essays earlier on. That's 7. We have 7 outweigh essays. Then we have discussion essays. Lots of discussion essays. 14 of them. Then double question essays. We have 4 double question essays. In this book, PDF file, you can download this book and study all the essays. Study all the essays, take note of how the essays are constructed. What I'm going to take you through here, I'm going to take you through the cause and effect essays, just some of them. I'll take you through some of the cause and effect essays. I'll use it to explain how to write your cause and effect essay. That's what I'm going to do in this lesson. Okay. So here we have, like I said, we have some cause and effect essays. So let me start with this one here. Let's start with this one here. Cause and effect essay. So remember what I said earlier on, that what your essay should have what? 4 paragraphs. 4 paragraphs. Look at all these examples that we have here. You're going to see that we have 4 paragraphs in these essays. Look at this example here now. Cause and effect essay 4. Nowadays, people have adopted an unhealthy lifestyle. Why do you think this is? What does that mean? What are the reasons for people adopting an unhealthy lifestyle? Or what is causing it? What is causing people to adopt unhealthy lifestyle? That's it. That's cause. Cause. Then the second question says, what effects can this have on the economy of a nation? What effects can this have on the what? On the economy of a nation? Hope you are getting me. If you are following me, let me see your message. If you are following me, let me see your message. Let me see who is following me. Let me see whether you guys are still with me. Drop a message in the chat box. All right. Thank you very much. Very good. I can see your message. All right. So, cause and effect. So, in paragraph 1, we have our introduction. And in the introduction, there are 2 things to do to in your introduction. Or let me put it this way. In fact, let me just type it out for you here. Let me type it out for you here. A good introduction must have 3 qualities. 3 qualities of a good introduction. What are the 3 qualities of a good introduction? I want you to write this down in your book, or you can just snapshot it after I finish writing everything. A good introduction must contain 2 or 3 sentences. Minimum. That's the minimum. 2 or 3 sentences. Number 2, a good introduction must paraphrase the question prompt. It must contain a paraphrase of the question prompt. Okay? It must contain a paraphrase of the question prompt. That's the second quality. The third quality is that what? It must contain a clear thesis statement. Okay? For a cause and effect essay, writing your thesis means that there are 2 things when it comes to cause and effect essay for your thesis. Okay? Clearly mention 1 cause and 1 effect. Okay? Or you can mention 2 causes or 2 causes and 2 effects. That's one way to write your thesis for a cause and effect essay. Or the other thing is that what? Write this. Let me tell you what to write. This essay will discuss the causes and effects of this trend. That's option 2. You see this option 2? I don't recommend it if you are doing IELTS academic. If you are doing IELTS academic, I will not advise you to do this option 2. It's better to do option 1. What's option 1? Mention 1 cause and 1 effect. Or mention 2 causes and 2 effects. That's thesis. That's what we call thesis statement. That's what we call thesis statement. I'm going to show you examples later on. Same thing applies for cause and solution essay. For a cause and solution essay, what should you do? You should mention 1 cause and 1 solution. Okay? Clearly mention 1 cause and 1 what? Solution. Or mention 2 causes and 2 solutions. Or option 2 is that what? You write this sentence, this thing I just wrote here now. Just write it exactly word for word. This essay will discuss the causes of this problem, of this trend, or maybe this problem, and profile some helpful solutions, and outline some what? Helpful solutions. So, like I said again, using option 2 for your thesis is not good if you are doing IELTS academic. Some examiners don't like it. Okay, so it's better to clearly mention one course and one solution, or mention two courses and what? Two solutions. So these are the things that make up a good introduction for your what? For your course and effect essay and your course and solution essay. Hope you get my point now. So I hope you have written this down, because I'm going to move on to what's it called? Our essay example again. So let's move back to our essay example. Okay, let's move back to our essay example and then look at that thing I said earlier on. So look at it now. Look at this introduction here. Look at the question. Nowadays, people have adopted an unhealthy lifestyle. This thing I just read now, this first sentence, is what we call the question prompt. The question prompt. That's like a short story that you see at the beginning of your essay question. We call it the question prompt. So what do I do there? I will paraphrase that question prompt. I'm going to do what? I'm going to paraphrase that question prompt. And look at my paraphrase here. Across the globe, can you see that? Across the globe, more and more people, or more people, are cultivating habits and practices that are detrimental to their health. Can you see? We are expanding this thing here, making it, we want to make it clearer to the reader. So it says that what? People are cultivating habits. What's the meaning of lifestyle? Lifestyle basically is a combination of all your habits and the things that you do and how you respond to things generally. So people are cultivating habits and practices that are what? Detrimental to their health. Now, you now gives example of some of those things. Poor diet, irregular exercise, excessive alcohol consumption, and many more have become prevalent among both the young and the old. Can you see that? That's what? Paraphrase of the question prompt. What's paraphrase? Say what they have said in the question prompt, but change some words. Okay? To paraphrase the question prompt, what can you do? Change some words, rearrange the words in the sentence, or introduce new words. You can see that in this paraphrase now, I've introduced a lot of new words. That's paraphrase of the question prompt. And then after that, what do we have? We now have our thesis statement. Look at the thesis here. This can be attributed to lack of self-discipline. Remember what I said earlier on, that you must mention two causes and two effects. So look at the first cause the person is mentioning. Lack of self-discipline is the cause of this unhealthy lifestyle. Lack of self-discipline. Number two, the desire to amass wealth. That's the second cause. Then look at the next point. And it definitely affects the economy negatively. So this person tells us that this practice, unhealthy lifestyle, will affect the economy how? Negatively. Now look at the next thing. This essay will further expatiate on how people's unhealthy lifestyle hampers the economic growth of a nation. Thesis. So introduction is settled. We have done our introduction. Now look at the first paragraph, the second paragraph, paragraph 2. What do we have in paragraph 2? The causes of the trend, the causes of people cultivating an unhealthy lifestyle. So the issue of self-discipline and the desire to amass wealth will show up here. Now look at it. There are two major factors contributing to this unhealthy trend. Firstly, people lack the self-control needed to end harmful behavioral practices. Can you see? So in writing your paragraph 2, you should present your first point. Okay? Write a sentence that presents the first point. That sentence is called the topic sentence. Let me show you something here. How to structure your main body paragraph. Okay? How to structure your main body paragraph. I want you to follow closely. I'm going to see this pattern in the paragraphs I'll write. Write a topic sentence that presents the main point of that paragraph. Okay? Write, the next thing is the word. Write 2 or 3 sentences to explain that point. Okay? Write one sentence, one or two sentences to illustrate or give relevant examples. Okay? So these are the things that you do when it comes to what? Constructing your paragraph. Topic sentence, explanation sentence, example presenting sentence. Those are the three types of sentences that you should show up in your main body paragraph. The first two are very, very important. The third one can show up in paragraph 2, and then if you like, you might not put it in paragraph 3. If you like, you can decide not to put it in paragraph 2, but then it must show up in paragraph 3. Okay? But for topic sentence, there must be a topic sentence in paragraph 2, and there must be a topic sentence in paragraph 3. Explanation sentence, there must be explanation sentences in paragraph 2, and there must be explanation sentences in paragraph 3. But example presenting sentence, you can decide to put it in the 2 paragraphs, or you can put it in 1. The choice is yours. Okay? Let's go back to our essay example. So look at it here. There are 2 factors. The first thing is what? Lack of self-control to end harmful behavior practice. So that is the first point. The first cause, C-A-U-S-E. The first cause of what? High number of people that have unhealthy lifestyles. So look at the explanation in color green. Their priority is to have fun and enjoy life to the fullest, even at the expense of their well-being. They do not agree that prevention is better than cure. Can you see this is a quote? I put quotation mark. Okay? They do not agree that prevention is better than cure, comma, and as a result, comma, that's a linking phrase, or a linking phrase. As a result, we want to link this first part to the next part. They live, okay? They live to eat whatever they enjoy. Or we can say they opt to eat. So this should be like, there should be a slash here, or maybe one of these 2 words should be deleted. They opt to eat whatever they enjoy and do whatever brings them pleasure, with the hope of visiting the hospital when any lifestyle-related illnesses surface. Explanation. So people lack self-control. They want to enjoy themselves. That's what this writer is explaining to us. Now look at the example. He now gives an example. For example, despite the enlightenment campaigns organized to educate individuals on the dangers of smoking, many young people still consume cigarettes daily. Can you see example there? Lots of young people consume cigarettes, even though they know that cigarette is bad for their health, that it can cause them lung cancer. They still smoke. That's an example. You give a good example. Somebody says, okay, how do I know the kind of example to give? You can come up with a fictitious example. You can come up with an example of something that happens in your environment. Let me write it out for you. Good examples in IELTS essays. Good examples in IELTS task 2 essays. Okay? Good, or let me put it this way, good / strong examples, because I've seen some people write weak examples. I'm going to tell you what I mean by weak examples. So good / strong examples. Mention something that happens in your community that involves a lot of people. Okay? That involves a lot of people, not just one person, not just 2 people, that involves a lot of people. Mention something that happens. So it could be something that happens, or something that happened in the past. Okay? That's one way to present a good example. Another way to present a good example is to mention the outcome of a research study that was published in a magazine or newspaper or websites, okay, or a TV station, or a TV station. Okay, mention the outcome of a research study that was published. You see these two things, these are the two ways to present examples, two strong examples in IELTS Task 2 essays. And this is recommended especially if you are preparing for IELTS academic. Now, let me show you weak examples. This one, weak examples to avoid. Okay, mentioning something that happened to you, or to your relative. So you are mentioning something that happened to one person. That one person could be you or your relative. That example is too weak, because if something happens to you, it cannot. What if it didn't happen to 1 million people and you are the only one that was affected? You can't use that to buttress your point. That one thing that happened to one person could just be an unusual thing. So it's not a solid point to use to back up your idea in your essay. So please avoid things like this, mentioning one thing. I mean, mentioning something that happened to one person. Some people write that, I know of my neighbor, this and this happened to him. I mean, people do it. I'm not saying people don't do these things in IELTS essays. People do it. But these are things that will reduce your score from 8.0 to 6.5. Okay? It's not like you will score 3.0 if you write an example like this. No, you will not score 3.0. In fact, you will not even score 5.0. They might give you 6.5. But it's not likely they will give you 8.0. It's not likely they will give you 7.5. Because that example is not strong enough. Okay? These two that I gave you at the top here, something that happened to a lot of people, or a research study. Usually a research study will involve many people. Or maybe something that is happening. Another third example. Let me give you another third one. Let me give you a third thing. That one is just coming to my mind now. A third point that you can use to buttress, that you can use as an example. Number 3. Okay, number 3 is to what? Mention something that happens in a particular country. In a particular country. Either as a result of government activity or as a result of the activity of many companies. As a result of the activities of what? Many companies or many organizations or individuals. That's another good example that you can give when it comes to what? Presenting examples in your IELTS essays. I hope you get my point. Let me see. If you are following me, let me see your message. Drop a message for me in the chat box. Let me see who is following me. If you are following me, let me see your message in the chat box. Let me see whether you are with me. All right. Very good. Thank you very much. So our essay should be what? Should be well structured. Okay? Our body paragraph should be what? Should be well structured. We have a word. We have a topic sentence at the beginning. Okay? We have a word explanation sentence, and then we have an example presenting sentence. Look at the example here. Despite the Enlightenment campaign organized to educate people, many young people still what? Consume. That's example. Many young people. So look at the next point. So after presenting the first course of unhealthy lifestyle, explaining and giving example, this writer gives another course. Another contributory factor is overworking. And then he now explains, presently, both males and females experience severe stress at their workplaces because of prolonged working hours. In a bid to make more money, people ignore the need for regular sleep, rest, exercise, and vacations. Due to this lack of rest, their health status deteriorates over time and many degenerative diseases set in. Can you see? Well illustrated explanation. This one is like a combination of explanation and example. Inside it, you are seeing it there. See, both males and females, as you are referring to a specific group of people. They work for long hours. Many people, I'm sure you know many people that spend long hours working. Okay, so our point must be well presented. So in paragraph 2, we have presented the causes of that problem, of that trend. Now, in paragraph 3, we now present the effects. Look at it. The unhealthy lifestyle habits of people threaten the economy of the nation. How? This is due to the fact that these folks often come down with chronic illnesses and rely on public health facilities that are run by public funds for their care. Therefore, instead of working productively to aid economic growth, these sick persons become conduits for wasting government resources. In other words, they work too much, they fall sick, and they go to hospital. And I mean, government has to take care of them because in many of these countries, healthcare is free. Assuming healthcare is not free now, many people will have stopped some negative practices that they are involved in. That is the fact. Now, look at the next point, another effect. In addition, poor lifestyle results in reduced energy levels. In other words, if you have a poor lifestyle, you have lots of negative habits, your energy level will reduce. And on the long term, will invariably translate to reduced productivity at work. That's another point. And then explanation. Low productivity will result in reduced income for business organizations and for the government. Can you see that? Low productivity will result in what? Reduced income. Can you see point presented? And then finally, we have our conclusion. In conclusion, the adoption of unhealthy lifestyle is worsening people's general health conditions worldwide. Lack of self-discipline and overwork, motivated by the desire for more wealth, are the main causes of this trend. Therefore, measures must be taken swiftly to encourage healthy living among citizens so that families, communities, and economies will not suffer the repercussion. So, conclusion. What is happening in the conclusion? The person is summarizing the main points of the essay and giving us a kind of closing recommendation. That is what shows up in cause and effect essay and cause and solution essay. Hope you get my point now. So that's it. Cause and effect essay and cause and solution essay. So you see that in this book, we have about 4 of them. Five of them. Look at this one here now. Many students do not choose science subject at university. What are the reasons? And then what are the impacts? Impact means effect. So look at it here. Introduction. The subject of science has contributed remarkably to the advancement that the world has witnessed over the last few centuries. Nonetheless, many students enrolling for tertiary education have no interest in science-based courses such as engineering, pharmacy, medicine, chemistry, or physics. Can you see? We mentioned those science subjects. That's paraphrasing. Remember what I said about paraphrasing earlier on? You can add extra words. Make sure those words are relevant. This can be attributed to the word high tuition cost associated with such courses and their high level of difficulty. Can you see? He has mentioned the word, the course, the causes. What are the reason causes? What are the factors contributing to this trend? And that's what you see in the main body. Paragraph 2 now tells us the first point as per the causes of that trend, and then the second cause. Studying science can be difficult. Many students have had unpleasant experiences in high school with difficult questions and tasks in science subjects. Thus, when the time comes to choose a course in the university, they try their best to avoid science subject. That's the reason. Look at the example here. Remember what I said about example earlier on? That you should not give personal examples. For example, in most universities, medical students undergo at least 12 clinical practical sessions. Can you see example? Most universities. That's something that involves many people. Many people. Look at the other example here. In the late 90s, as part of efforts to achieve road construction targets, the Nigerian government employed lots of, can you see, Nigerian government. So you mention something that happened in a country that involved many people. That's what I call relevant example, strong example. That's how you give examples in your essays. I hope you get my point now, ladies and gentlemen. So in writing your essay, introduction. So ladies and gentlemen, in writing your essays, what did I say? Introduction must be concise, straightforward. It must be top-notch. It must follow the IELTS standard. And what is the IELTS standard? Paraphrase the question prompt. Okay? Write a clear thesis. And then make sure your introduction contains 2 or 3 or more sentences. So introduction, body paragraph 1, where you write about the word, the causes, C-A-U-S-E-S, the causes of that problem, the causes of that trend. And then body paragraph 2, where you write about the word, the effects of that trend, or the effects of that problem. That's what, how to write your word, your cause and effects essay. Now, let's look at the second type of essay that I want to address today, cause and solution essay. The same pattern, like I said, for cause and effect. Introduction. Let's look at this example. Let's look at this example here. Okay? Children and teenagers are committing more and more crimes in many countries. That is our word, our question prompts. Children and teenagers are committing more and more crimes in many countries. So when I'm writing my introduction, what will I do? Paraphrase it. Look at it. The rise in juvenile delinquency. Can you see that? What is the meaning of juvenile delinquency? The crime committed by children and teenagers. Teenagers refers to anybody that is below 16 years in some countries. In some countries, is below 18 years. That's teenagers. That's why when you are counting 1 to 20, when you get to 13, you start saying 10, 13, 14, 15. Why? Because they are teenagers. From 12 and above, you become a teenager. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, teen. You're a teenager. Okay? So teenagers, and then children from 11 downwards. Children. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. 4 can also be regarded as a child. Okay? Infant or baby, 1 year, 2 years, baby, that's baby. Hope you get the point now. Because I've seen some people, they will write youth. They will write youth. The essay question says children and teenagers. They will not change it to youth. No. I mean, a teenager is not yet a youth. Youth begins from 18 years in most countries. A youth is regarded technically as an adult. You understand now? Once you are 18 years and above, you can be regarded as a youth because you have the right to vote. You can be voted for. And if you commit a violent crime, you can suffer capital punishment in some countries. Okay? So children cannot suffer that kind of thing, even if it's a capital crime. That's the law in many countries. So now let's come back to this essay. So the rise in juvenile delinquency has become a concern in many countries. Can you see? Many countries. More crimes, that's juvenile delinquency. Juvenile, that's children and teenagers. Okay? Paraphrase of the question prompt. Let me show you another paraphrase. Look at this other question. Some businesses observe that new employees who just graduated from college or university seem to lack the interpersonal skill needed for communication with their colleagues. That's the question prompt. Look at the paraphrase. Some organizations, instead of writing businesses, what did I write? Organizations. I've noticed that hiring fresh graduates, new employees, can you see paraphrasing? Seems to be counterproductive because many of them are unable to relate and communicate effectively with their colleagues. Can you see that? Lack interpersonal skills for communication with their colleagues. Can you see paraphrasing? Unable to relate. Paraphrasing. So I will advise you to download this book and carefully study the way paraphrasing has been done. There are 64 examples for you to learn from in this PDF file. Okay? So let's go back to our essay about juvenile delinquency. So the question prompt has been paraphrased. Now look at the thesis. This essay will explain how lack of parental guidance is contributing to the trend. Can you see? He has mentioned one cause. What is the cause he has mentioned there? Lack of parental guidance. Lack of what? Lack of parental guidance. Okay? How lack of parental guidance is contributing to the trend, and suggest some measures to address the problem. In other words, what can be done to deal with this problem? That's it. Introduction. How many sentences do we have in this introduction? 2 sentences. It meets up with our standard. Now look at paragraph 2. What is in paragraph 2? Paragraph 2 focuses on the what? The reasons. Why is this thing happening? The causes. To start with, the lack of parental care is the primary reason why teenagers engage in wrongdoing. Several parents today are too busy with work, and as such spend little time with their children. This leaves the children with little or no parental control. Consequently, the young ones become vulnerable to peers and adults who may influence them negatively. Poverty is another factor that increases the rate of what? Juvenile crime. Children from impoverished homes lack basic needs like food and clothing. And as a result, they often engage in some vices like pocket picking in order to feed. Now look at the example. Can you see what I said about example earlier on? Studies in Nigeria, can you see that? Mention a country. Can you see this person is mentioning the research? That's strong example that you must learn to give. Studies in Nigeria have shown that 80% of youths who are apprehended for cyber fraud come from poor homes. So you see, the little mistake I can see in this sentence is this word, youth. This person should have used what? Teenagers. 80% of teenagers, because like I said earlier on, you can't really call these guys teenagers and children. You can't call them youths. You understand? So somebody says, does that mean that if I write this kind of thing, I will score 4.0? No, that's not the meaning. You cannot score 4.0. You understand? You can't score 4.0. It will just affect, if this kind of mistake shows up a lot, then your score maybe might reduce to maybe 6.5 or 7.0 instead of 7.5 or 8.0 or 9.0. Okay? So those are little, because little things are the things that cause people's score to drop to 6.5 when they could have as well gotten something as strong as 7.5 or 8.0. So causes discussed in paragraph 2. Now, paragraph 3 talks about the word, the solution. The solution. Remember, it's a cause and solution essay. How can we stop or at least reduce youth crime? Can you see? Okay, can you see they even used youth here? So anybody that uses youth maybe will be covered a little bit, youth crime. But if they did not use youth, please avoid youth. Now, in order to correct this worrying situation, parents must learn to balance work and family life. That's solution 1. In other words, they must provide for their children both emotionally and physically. This will help to bring out the best in their kids in terms of morality and character. Fathers and mothers must provide their children with basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter. They must be available to support them emotionally by listening attentively to their worries, fears, and concerns. Can you see that this person is giving practical steps? We don't need any special example again here. Practical steps of things that can be done. Solutions is well explanatory, is well illustrative. Is well illustrated. Okay? Spending time with children creates a bond and allows parents to influence these young ones positively. When this cordial relationship is in place in the family, children will definitely seek for advice and support from their parents rather than from deceptive adults and peers. Additionally, juvenile delinquents should be counseled and reoriented in appropriate certified rehabilitation center. This is another solution. That what? If a teenager has been found guilty of a particular crime, that teenager should be counseled, okay, and reoriented in appropriate certified rehabilitation center. This should be done early before they grow up to become hardened adult criminals. Okay? In conclusion, the increased rate of social vices amongst children and teenagers is as a result of the lack of parental care and poverty. Nevertheless, financial and psychological support from parents as well as counseling and retraining at well-equipped rehabilitation centers can help address this problem. Can you see that? Conclusion. So, ladies and gentlemen, what have we done here? We have looked at what? Essay construction. Our cause and effect essay and our cause and solution essay must be well structured to address the issue raised in the question, in the essay question. You must have 4 paragraphs. Each paragraph was made up of what? Sentences. And I've given you the number of what? Of sentences. Okay? Your essay should contain nothing less than 250 words. That's also very, very important. How many words? 250 words. If you write less than 250 words, your score will not exceed 6.0. That's just it. That's the meaning. If your essay is not up to 250 words, your writing score will not exceed 6.0. Just register that in your mind. So you need to make sure you write at least 250 words in your IELTS essay, okay, to get a good score. To get a good score. Now, somebody is thinking, does that mean that if I write 250 words, I'll score 6.0? I'm sorry, does that mean that if I write 250 words, I'll score 9.0? No, that's not the meaning. The meaning is just that what? If you write at least 250 words, you have a chance of getting a good score. That is the meaning. Okay? 250 words does not mean you get 9.0. What if you write 250 words and you did not answer the essay question? You did not answer the question that they asked you to write on. What if you write 250 words and you do not give examples? What if you write 250 words and inside your essay you have lots of grammar mistakes? You cannot get 9.0. It's not possible. So 250 words is not the only thing. There are other criteria. Okay? For example, you must show clear paragraphing. You can see that in my essay, at the end of paragraph 1, there's a small space before starting paragraph 2. That's another thing that is necessary for you to get a high band score. Not only 250 words. Okay? Another thing that is necessary for a high band score is example. Another thing that is necessary is that what? There must be, grammatical errors must be few. You must use commas correctly. You must spell correctly. You must use your punctuations, commas, semicolons, colons. They must be used correctly. You must use conjunctions correctly. What are conjunctions? Let me show you an example of conjunction. In other words, that's an example of a conjunction. Additionally, that's an example of a conjunction. In conclusion, that's another conjunction. To start with, that's another conjunction. Consequently, that's another conjunction. All these conjunctions must be used correct. Not that you just use them, you must use them correctly. So band 9.0 is determined by many things, not just by 250 words. Okay? But again, if you don't write up to 250 words, you can just forget band 9.0, forget band 8.0, forget band 7.0. Your score will not exceed 6.0. I always like to emphasize that because I see some people writing essays of 250 words. Essays of some people will be writing essays of 100 words, 150 words. Why? For what? It's not proper. So please don't even do that. After writing your essay, somebody is thinking, how do I know whether I've written 250 words? It's very straightforward. After writing in your book, okay, just count the number of words in a line. For example, now look at this thing that we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So this thing here is 17 words in one line. So how many words should this person write to make up 250 words? How many lines? How many lines should this person write to make up 250 words? This person should write a minimum of 15 lines. A minimum of what? 15 lines. Because each line from this person's handwriting, each line contains what? 17 words. So if this person writes 15 lines, that would be what? 255 words. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Can you see? We already have more than 250 words. This is already more than 17 lines. I mean, more than 15 lines. So you just count the number of lines, sorry, the number of words that you write in a line, okay? And then use 250, divide 250 by that number of words, so that you know the number of lines that you write. So what you just count is what? Just count the number of lines. That's how you know the number. That's how you know whether you have reached 250 words. So you practice doing that with your paper. Practice doing that with your IELTS writing book. Remember, I always tell you that what? Always have a book. Okay? Always have a book where you practice with. Okay? Very, very important. Let me show you what IELTS writing sheets looks like. You can download the sheets and practice with it. If you look at this thing here now, you can see that it's just basically a ruled sheet. This is how your exam sheet will look like on the exam day for IELTS writing. Can you see they wrote writing tax 1 on this one? For tax 2, they will write writing tax 2. There's nothing special. So somebody writes 15 words in a line. 15 words, 15 words. So the person knows that what? He just needs to write a minimum of 17 lines to make up what? 250 words. So you can print out this kind of file, this kind of document, and practice with it. Or you can just practice with your notebook. Just practice with your notebook. It's just like a typical A4 paper or a typical notebook, and then use that as your guide. You don't need to complicate anything. Hope you get my point. So, ladies and gentlemen, how to write your what? Cause and effect essay, and how to write your cause and solution essay. That's what I want to address in this lesson. I hope you have learned something from this lesson. Link to this file with you. I'll share the link to the file with you, and then you can watch the lesson again. And we'll also share the links to some other lessons on IELTS writing. Then I'm going to share the PDF file to download this particular book, this particular compilation of essays. Okay? So that I can download this compilation of essays and study it. I will share a recording on generating ideas. Some people would ask a question that, I don't know how to come up with ideas. I'm going to share a lesson on that. Ideas, how to come up with ideas for your essays, okay? So that you can go through that recording and learn more about idea generation. Somebody says, do we have to quote the right examples? No, you don't have to quote the right. You can come up with the fake examples. Your examples can be fake. Nobody's going to check whether your example is correct. If you like, write that Nigeria has 500 local governments. Nobody knows whether we have 500. They will not check Google to confirm. No, they don't care. If you like, write that Nigeria has 5 million, a population of 5 million. They don't send you. they are not going to confirm. Just make sure that your example is relevant. Your example must be relevant to the point that you are explaining. Your example must be relevant. Hope you get my point. So I think that's that for that question. So if there's any other question, just post your question in the WhatsApp chat. I'm going to attend to the question as soon as I can. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.